Last year I got the opportunity to try out way more keyboards than I really ever imagined. So today, let's take a look at every keyboard I tried in 2024. This video is not going to be my usual review style, so if that's not your thing, feel free to skip to the next video. This is just going to be a big yearly recap. Okay, so I do just want to give out a few disclaimers before we get into the video, and the main one is that this is not a brag. I was able to get my hands on most of these keyboards from your support, so if you weren't watching, I wouldn't be able to have them. So it's not a brag. The goal of this video is to give my opinion on all the keyboards I tried over the year in one video with brief opinions. And yeah, I'm not going to be doing full-on sound tests of each of these boards because I did review 90% of them already, so I'll have cards on screen. And last thing is, the keyboards are appearing in no particular order, so let's get into it. Okay, so starting it off, we've got the B75 Pro. Now this is the second iteration of Yunzii's B75, and in my review I did say that this was, it didn't live up to the standard version, and you know, I do with the benefit of hindsight, I do agree with that, you know, because I think it's worth pointing out just before we go much further, you know, as the reviews have gone on, I've got more knowledge, so subsequent reviews might be more accurate, so opinions might change, that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm sticking to the fact that I think the base B75 was a little bit better. Here's a quick. It just felt a bit thin to me. There was a bit of meat to the bounce. Not to the bounce. There was a bit of meat to the keystroke on the base B75. Yeah, just didn't really get that here. Next up, we have a board that I reviewed pretty recently. This is the Ajazz AK870. And yeah, so we know the iconic AK820 Pro, or just base 820. This one comes with this knob, this extra knob module, knob and screen module. And yeah, really this did live up well. The only complaint I have now is that the backplate is actually kind of more of a cream compared to the white keycaps, which only after I edited I really noticed. So I didn't point that out in my first review, but yeah, really like this board. Next up, we've got the Galaxy 80. This was a collab by Epomaker and Feker. When I got this keyboard, I was hyped. So this was one of my talkiest keyboards, I think, at the time I received it. This board has a special place in my heart. It's got the TKL layout, nice design, nice team, sounds great. I still recommend getting this board, but there's a Galaxy 70, which we'll come to. All right, so next we've got Epomaker's RT65. Yeah, so this is a relatively new board. It's got most notably this knob. This is not something you usually see on a keyboard. This is the first of its kind for me. I would say it's pretty gimmicky, so it's not the most important feature. I don't think you're gonna miss it really if you don't get this board. But yeah, this sounds pretty decent. Epomaker's boards usually sound pretty decent. All right, coming up now, we've got the L75 by Yunzii. So this, I believe, was Yunzii's first low profile board, and yeah, I reviewed this quite fairly. I think it was a good keyboard. The first of its kind, meaning there's improvements that can be made, but overall, yeah, I think Yunzii done a pretty good job here. I think the switch has kind of let it down though, to be fair. Next up, we've got the Cidoo V75. So this is a really good board. It comes as a kit. Epomaker sent it out to me, and they sent the keycaps and the switches as well, and talk, really. Yeah, so you've heard that. It just, yeah, I pretty much love everything about this keyboard. Shape is great, color, theme is great, and yeah, awesome. Then we had the Breeze75 from KiiBoom. Now this board, I really like this one. This one is kind of one of those boards that I feel fits really well into those naturey, cozy kind of aesthetics. Bottom half is this clear acrylic, and you've got a backlight there, and it's using their matcha latte switches, V2 I think, so it's got this real chalky, raw kind of sound, but I do really like it. Right, well, I think we can agree that the next keyboard is fairly unique. Fully transparent from the keycaps, switches to the case. The whole thing is transparent. This is the KiiBoom Phantom 81 V2, and we just show you that, you know, one of the main attractions. Yeah, the RGB lovers will like this board. It's got quite a nice sound profile, to be honest. Yeah, I think I rated this one quite highly, and I do agree, it's cool. It's Yeah, you can see the circuitry on the PCB on the back there. It's just a really unique board. One I think, you know, deserves a spot in an enthusiast's collection. Next board we've got is an Epomaker board. It's the Epomaker Tide65. So yeah, this was a cool little board. Like it's all got that. It's got the stealthy aesthetic, you know. Nice mirrored back weight. You can see yourself there. Yeah, side printed keycaps, which honestly I'm not really a fan of because I'm a bit of a noob typer, so I like to be able to see my characters, my legends, but yeah, it sounds pretty good. Now, could not leave out the numpad fans because I know there's a lot of them. Some people just can't get away from the numpad, which is fair enough. I was the same at the start, but you do get used to it for the record. So yeah, this is a kind of I reviewed this and I said it was kind of like out of the box, no modding required, really just solid keyboard, and yeah, it looks great. It's got that kind of cloudy, bubbly feel to it, and sounds great too, to be honest. I want to start moving a bit faster through these, so some just even briefer thoughts. So this is the KiiBoom Loop65, and this is a very unique board. Check out the full review, which I will have in the card, but basically the whole construction is modular and it comes apart. It's got gradient keycaps. It's got kind of a nice clacky sound profile, and yeah, I did really like this board too. Back to Epomaker. Shout out to Epomaker, by the way. They were really a good hand in getting my channel off the ground. I'm one of the early supporters, so I appreciate that, Epomaker. This is their TH80 V2. So the V1, I think at the time it was one of my first keyboards, so I thought it was amazing, but in hindsight, I didn't think it was that great. The V2 though, much better. You've got much nicer sound profile, looks better. Everything about it's better, really. Solid board. Another new kind of board for me. This was the first iteration of, what do you call it, Alice layouts for me. So yeah, this board is kind of more of a novelty, gimmicky kind of one, but yeah, I've got silent switches on there. You've got the Alice layout, obviously, screen. Cool board, but yeah, it's not particularly amazing. If you like Alice, it's a cheap, or even if you want to just test out Alice layout, it's a cheap kind of way to get into that. Next up, we've got the iLovbee B87, and this was one of the gems that I reviewed. It's a full TKL, and this was, I can't remember the price, but very budget, and honestly, oh my god, it sounds amazing. It sounds really good. Pretty sure this is modular as well, the knob, yeah, so I think you can change that for a key if you want. Great sound profile, feels great, sounds great. Yeah, really good keyboard. Next up, we've got one of the LTC Nimbleback boards. Now, this is another TKL layout. Wasn't such a fan of this one. It's got quite a, I think the switches are at play here as well. They're not very good. It kind of gives it a flat, clacky, not very nice sound profile. It's quite stiff as well, so yeah, it looks pretty decent, but it doesn't really perform the best. In the same vein, now we've got the K98, which is another one of those ones that it looks all right. It's got a numpad, obviously, but yeah, switches again, I think just let it down, and it's got an aluminium plate, so it's really stiff. It's just another one of those not very fun keyboards to type on. Now we've got the first keyboard in the lineup from Womier. This is their SK65, and this was my main keyboard for a long time. Really like this keyboard. It's got a really poppy, light sound profile, and it's just a joy to type on for me. I know it won't be the most comfortable for everybody. It's got a bit of a height to it, but yeah, I've done a lot of keystrokes on this keyboard. Really good. It is based on the Lucky, which I have coming up as well. All right, Epomaker's back on the table with their RT80, and I just want to make the kind of clarification that the RT in this line is not rapid trigger. There's been a lot of keyboards coming out lately with rapid trigger magnetic switches. This is not that. I'm not sure what the RT actually stands for. Retro, maybe, not sure. But yeah, this keyboard has a touch screen, which is again the first of its kind for me. Can't really do that too amazingly useful, but it's innovative and it's cool and it sounds good, as Epomaker keyboards tend to. Next, we've got a pretty hefty keyboard. This is from MonsGeek. So this is the M1W V3, I think, SP. So side printed. Again, not a huge fan of the side printed keycaps, but yeah, it's got that gradient. It's quite nice. MonsGeek make really good keyboards. This is definitely a clacky board. I think it's got the Piano Pros. But yeah. Feels quite good, sounds quite good. Clacky, if you're into that, you'll like this keyboard. If you remember earlier, I showcased the Yunzii B75 V2 or Pro, can't remember, but this is the base version, the all white one. I prefer this one. It's the former, but it's the better in my opinion. It just feels much nicer. I do want to say this basically is the same board as the F75, different switches, different keycaps. These are shine through, I believe. Can't turn it on. Oh yeah, so this is wired only. This was not a tri-mode board, which is fine. I think it was like $40 or $50, so it's very cheap. For what it is, really good. But yeah, pretty much same as the LF75. Now, the first keyboard from GamaKay that I tried was the TK75 SE, I believe, and GamaKay make really good budget keyboards that they do the basics right, and yeah, they feel great. I've never really had a bad encounter with a GamaKay board. This one's got that creamy sound profile. Yeah, they usually put their big branding on there, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it is what it is. They're good budget boards, I like them. Next, this is the first in the AL lineup from Yunzii that I tried. It's the AL66, and I'm gonna put it down because honestly, I can't bear to touch it. I don't know if it's just my unit or all AL66s, but the finish is like gritty almost. Yeah, I don't like it, but it sounds really good. It's got that top low profile, not low profile, deep kind of sound profile. But the AL68 overthrew it, in my opinion. That'll be coming up soon. Next is definitely one of the more unique boards. This is the Epomaker DynaTab. I think the battery's currently dead on it, but this is a big dot matrix screen, which is the first of its kind for me, and yeah, really cool. This keyboard, again, it's an Epomaker board. Their switches are good. It sounds pretty good. After the review, the stem on the backspace keycap broke, so that basically doesn't work, it gets stuck. And I did want to point out that this cover that houses a few things, it's really loose, so if you basically put this board upside down, that kind of falls off. But yeah, cool board. Next up, we've got the Yunzii YZ87, so it's another TKL board, and I believe this was towards the start of the year, so this is one of my earlier reviews. This is, yeah, it's got that, I like this theme. Yunzii implement this theme on a few other boards, but the sound profile's not amazing. It's okay, I've heard better, but for what it is, I'm pretty sure it's a cheap board. It's not bad. Next, I'm pretty sure a lot of you will recognize this board. So this was a custom build, so I wasn't sent this. This was out of my pocket, but I was actually sent the keycaps. That's a lie. These were from Keytalk, I believe. But yeah, GMK87, got the knob, got the screen, and I've got Akko Cream Blue V2s? No, Cream Blue Pros in there. So yeah, quite a fan of this. Very cool board. Next, we've got another heft of a board. So this is Womier again with their SK75, so the 75% equivalent of their 65. Really good keyboard. So I've mained this for quite a while now as well, and I just love it. It looks amazing, it types amazing, it feels amazing. It's got that back weight, not that you see it, but yeah, really love this board. Yeah, so I wanted to give it a bit more of a sound test on this one because it's a standout. Really good. Coming up now, we've got the Akko YU01. So this is another, there's a lot of first of its kinds this year for me. So this was the first resin keyboard, and I'm pretty sure it's the first mass-produced resin keyboard by any brand. It's got polycarbonate keycaps, clear switches, and obviously a pretty transparent case as well. This board is definitely stiff. There's no gasket mount, and yeah, it just makes for a clacky sound profile, but for what it is, it's pretty damn good. I've done a video on this recently, a short, saying that it sounded like a Minecraft skeleton. Take a listen. Yeah, cool board. Next up, we have the Yunzii AL75. Now this, yeah, I really like this board. I think it's one of the more, you know, it's really professional looking. It looks good. It's just a really good looking board. But not just looks, it sounds great, it feels great. This is like this is kind of endgame kind of worthy, in my opinion. And moving swiftly on, we've got the Kzzi, Kzzi, I think that's how you pronounce it, K75 Lite. This was another budget board. gradient shine through. That seems to be a theme with some boards, but yeah, really good budget board. It's got this kind of rotary knob for the connection modes. And I have to say, I quite like this board. It sounds quite good. Now, so I had the AL66, which I couldn't bear to touch earlier. Now this is the AL68. I think the keycap theme is quite clean. It's cleaner than the other one. It's got a nice mirrored back weight, little mountain design, and yeah, overall it just looks a lot better to me, more refined, and sounds quite, I think it sounds better too. That one's subjective though. Back to GamaKay, and we've got their TK75 Pro. So this is an aluminium board. Budget end again, because that's what they seem to like to do, and great board. I would recommend this. Next up, we've got another Epomaker board, and that's, you can see it's the same keycap theme as the TK75, no, as the TH80 Pro V2. That retro theme. It's you know, you've got your numpad, it's a full-size layout, and with Epomaker, it sounds decent, so it's a pretty safe option. Keeping with Epomaker, and we've got the TH40, so my first ever 40% keyboard. I honestly cherish this for some reason. I really like it. It's not the most practical keyboard, obviously, but it looks great. It sounds good as well. Like, I can't remember, but I believe it's QMK via support. So yeah, I'm pretty sure customizing this board is kind of important to get the different layers to map in some keys that you're missing, but yeah, really cool. Next up, we got the Epomaker P75, and this is probably just shy of the SK75 for me. I rate this board really highly. It's another really just clean aluminium board and sounds good. Sounds great, actually. Yeah, it's got a real clean, sharp sound. Big fan. Next up, we've got a Hall of Famer. So it's the Ajazz AK870 Pro. I believe this is my most viewed review on the channel, coming up on 100k views, I think, which is just crazy. But honestly, great keyboard, just great little keyboard. It's like $50 or $60, and it's just amazing. I love this board. Next up, we've got a board from Yunzii, and I think this was actually my first collaboration with Yunzii. Fun fact, Yunzii were the first, you know, my first board was a Yunzii R75, the first review I done. Basically what got me into the keyboard hobby. So when I got this collaboration, it was something special, yeah. So this is their NOS 75, low profile, kind of what they're iconic for. And honestly, one of the biggest drawbacks to this keyboard is that it's wired only. I love this thing. It looks amazing. It sounds amazing. It's got that low pitch talk. Just take a listen. Great little keyboard. Next, we've got two Hall of Famers in quick succession. So I'm pretty sure 90-something% of people watching this video know that this is the L75, and yeah, pretty much echo all the same stuff. I think it's cheaper even than the AK870 Pro, and oh, maybe it's more expensive. I can't remember. They're about the same, give or take, maybe $5 or $10. And I actually prefer this ever so slightly. I think it sounds a slight bit better, and I prefer the theme. So yeah. Awesome keyboard. Next up, you probably won't recognize this board, or the keycaps might give it away, but this is the Yunzii 60HE. Yeah, another big collaboration for me. I really wanted this keyboard, and I managed to strike it, but yeah, it's currently in a DT60 case from Desktop Tribe, sold by Velocifier. And yeah, I've had the Yunzii 60HE in the plastic case, the Alamaze case, and this one might be my favorite. It's very unique looking. Yeah, Yunzii 60HE is another Hall of Famer, really. So back to Alice layouts. This is the Cidoo V75, so 65% Alice layout, screen knob, same as before, really talky. I really like how this sounds. It sounds great. If you're into Alice and you know you've proved the concept, you like the layout, you want something a bit nicer, a bit better, full aluminium, I recommend. Next up, GamaKay. So their TK75 V2. This has silent keycaps. This is actually one of the only keyboards, if not the only keyboard I've actually brought into an office. I'm a really big fan of this. This is my go-to silent keyboard. I think every enthusiast should have a silent keyboard, at least one. I know it's kind of a polarizing thing. People love it, people hate it, but yeah. There's not much to hear for sound test, but yeah, it's a great keyboard. Now, if we cast our mind back to a bit earlier in the showcase, I showcased the Galaxy 80. This is the Galaxy 70, so it's a smaller 75% layout. very unique kind of 75%, but yeah, this overthrew the 80 for me. This is talkier, potentially looks better, I guess it depends, that's subjective, but listen. Unbelievable, great keyboard. So back to KiiBoom and another really beefy, hefty keyboard. You probably recognize the Loop65 here. This is the Loop75. Really echo all the same things, really nice keyboard. It's got that modular design where it kind of falls apart as well. Okay, we're coming to the end of the showcase, and this is a special one. So this is the Lucky 65. One of my mates brought this back from China for me, the kit. I added the keycaps, I added the Akko Dracula switches, and yeah, this is one of my favorite little custom builds. The Akko Draculas are one of the smoothest, just most gorgeous switches I've ever tried. Definitely recommend them. Next up, we've got another kind of Hall of Famer alongside the Wooting. This has caused much conflict online, specifically on my channel. I've had a lot of people arguing in the comment section over which is better. Technically, this is better. Practically, you're not going to feel the difference, but yeah, I guess it really comes down to looks, sound maybe. Really good keyboard though. Second last, we've got another keyboard from Yunzii. This is their GEM80. So this is their first full-on custom keyboard kit, and I love this thing. I use this in my Mac setup at the minute, and it's great. It's probably one of the creamiest, best sounding keyboards I have. Yeah, another one I think deserved a bit more of a sound test. Great keyboard. And last but not least, definitely not least, maybe even the other end, it's the Leobog Hi75. So this is a kit as well, and I've got ceramic keycaps on there. It did come with a red kind of module here for the knob. I switched it out for a clear one. Talkiest, best keyboard ever. Just take a listen. Unbelievable. This is the Leobog Hi75. So yeah, then just really for me to wrap up, that was a different type of video for me. Let me know what you thought of it. Felt a bit waffly, but yeah, I wanted to give this video style a try anyway. I do want to extend a huge thanks to the people who watched in 2024 and basically made all of this possible. And also, thanks to all the brands who entrusted me with their boards. Wouldn't have been possible without them either. But yeah, that's about it for this video. If there's any particular keyboards you'd like me to try out in 2025, drop them down in the comments.